Clearly describing your research problem in your study is arguably one of the most important things you can do as a researcher. What it really helps you do is to convey the importance of the topic of your research to your reader, which is really what grabs their attention and helps them see how the research that you are conducting is really going to be helpful and contribute to the knowledge base and to practice. Here's an example of a research article that I pulled as an example to help show you where the research problem rests within this particular article. This probably looks familiar to you. It has the article title, it has the author, it has an abstract and some keywords there, and then it kind of begins into the article itself. So what I'm going to do is actually zoom in here a little bit. And one of the things that you look at when you begin reading the article right off the bat is why the article is important. So just kind of glancing at here, we can see that the author spoke here about the expansion of online learning, one particular facet of interest for the field. So he's conducted that with some literature review. And this interest is shared by others, so that have also investigated this particular topic that he's after. Now, then we go further on and it begins to talk about the purpose of the study. So this top part really sets up the problem or the background for why this study is being conducted. And so when you begin reading and researching your topic, you want to really think about how to best convey what that research problem is to your reader. Now, research problems set up the background or the why the research problem is important. But another way that you can think about this to help sort of frame the context that you're writing this is in a good research problem, when you conduct the study, you should be able to contribute findings and conclusions essentially on three levels. These will be your recommendations and your implications for your research. So the first one should be research, and this would be things like data. So are you researching a novel subject base or a sample that you're contributing new data to the field and the knowledge base? The second is the theoretical base. So what are you doing from your research standpoint that contributes to theory? And this would be understanding of how theories work, and this allows people to better explain and predict how their particular study that they may be working on aligns with a theory. And so you might think about the contributions or implications from a theoretical level. And the third, and probably the more appropriate in this case, is the practical level. And so how does your proposed study aim to influence practical settings? And this is a really important element to think about, because while the research may be valuable contributing data and the theory may be valuable from a theoretical stance, the practical implications of this really drive back to your problem statement. So why is your research study being done? It's hopefully to contribute a strong practical, make a strong practical contribution to the field. So let's look at an example. In this example, organization ABC is deciding if they should implement a new business intelligence system. However, project leaders are unsure of how the departments are currently collecting and presenting performance data. So in other words, they're going to implement a new system, but however, we don't quite know how existing departments are currently collecting and using this data. And so this information is needed to determine the most appropriate implementation and data migration route for using the new system. So this is a very practical problem. A new organization or an organization is wanting to implement a new software system, but we need to know how people are conducting these sort of tasks at the current level. And so we can look at this sort of problem statement and see what sort of implications that may come out of this. And this will help determine if our problem statement is a good one, or if we need to maybe make some revisions to it. So let's look at this from a research standpoint. There is certainly research value in answering how people are conducting and storing their data. So we know from a data standpoint, and from a data storage standpoint, that this is a pretty important thing about how understanding how people are currently working. So we know that the research standpoint is good there. Now, from a theoretical standpoint, this is a very applied research problem. And so at surface level, you may say the theoretical value may be lessened, and that could be true. However, there are certain theories, such as the technology acceptance model, that may actually contribute and explain how people would use new technology systems. So that's certainly something to think about. While it may not be the primary driver, it could be an important thing that you want to think about. And then certainly from a practical sense, that this is a very important practical contribution for this organization. It helps them decide which way is going to be most cost effective to implement this new system. So you can see that this research problem is a very practical problem. It doesn't have to be very theoretical by any means. But you can also use and say, okay, I know that that this is a research contribution. I'm contributing data. It is somewhat of a theoretical contribution. I can certainly use theory to explain and maybe contribute some new theoretical understanding to it. And it's certainly a practical contribution. And so I know that by doing this, by 2 out of 3 for sure, that this is a pretty good problem statement that I can work with and really begin to help define what my study is going to contribute from a research and practical stance.